Hey, yo, it's your boy Sam Duke.
It's your boy Warren P.
It's your unmuted boy, Theo McKenna. Of course. See, when you let me drive, I zone out.
I hear you, bro. I hear you, man. You guys are watching another episode of You
You
Good,
good,
bro?
bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, You Good, bro podcast. We did an episode for this week, but we would be remiss not to come on here and talk about what's going on as far as the current events is concerned. And I think that everyone is hurt and disgusted and feels some type of way about what's been going on as far as the Tyre Nichols situation. And so we decided to come on here. We're gonna come on here and talk about it. So Mikhail, if you don't mind, would you like to just kind of give a rundown of what the situation is for our listeners and our viewers who don't know what's going on?
Situation as it was, I think it was January 7th. Tyree was pulled over, supposedly for reckless driving, even though there's been no indication or record of it that they could find, by the officers that were later fired from the police department for basically kidnapping, terrorizing, and beating this young man to his demise. I watched the interview with his mother, and she said that he died on January 7th. Like there was, nothing there. And even if he had survived his injuries at that time, he would have been in a severely vegetative state. She likened it to Emmett Till, to the photos. Now, I don't know what type of resisting arrest calls for what's been seen in video. I watched part of it. I had to stop because it hurt my heart, to be honest with you. But obviously, the ending is worst case scenario. I think what struck me is it turns out he was less than 80 feet from his mother's house. He had ran. There was two locations. He ran from the first location. He was about 80 yards away from his mother's house when they stopped him, and he was able to. I don't know. I mean, this is what we talk about: adrenaline strength. Be able to get up after you've been getting beaten and tased and run over 70 yards to finally get caught and put in handcuffs and just beat to death 20 or 80 feet from your mother's house. Like who? So ultimately, the officers are arrested. There have been more arrests because the EMTs did not provide any medical services for almost 23 minutes. I've heard, while he's leaned up against a car on the ground. And there was a 6 officer suspended at the time of this recording. Mind you, he seems to be the only white officer that I'm aware of. And I only made that distinction because he was at the first site, but he was never part of the first 5 that got fired, even though he tased Tyre. But he didn't go to the second location, and that's why he was only suspended, apparently. So it's just more stuff that's coming out. But for me, I think I needed to understand, what is the goal at this point outside of Tyre for justice. I mean, justice for Tyre, which to me, justice looks different today than it used to. And maybe I'm getting a little.
No, I mean, hey, bro,
you know.
Speak your mind, bless you, dog.
So it's just like, there's a quote that I heard. I think it was from a movie. It was like, 2 wrongs don't make it right, but it's justice. And and that's it. It rung so true with me because family members, we sit back and we just like, yeah, we're gonna let the justice system do this. But when is it? When it's the justice system that does it to you? What is real justice? You know, because Breonna's family is still seeing cops kill people. You know, and I can go down the list. It's like 400 of my names in the last 4 years of people that just unarmed killed or illegally killed, and it's still going on. So it's like, well, what is the aim here? And I don't know, man.
I mean, I think let's speak about the elephant in the room here. I think the biggest piece of this. I mean, because we've seen people, we've seen people get killed by police before. There's. I mean, it sounds so fucking.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds crazy as hell, but I mean, we got to be real, right? So we have to speak towards the fact that there is some distinct differences in this murder versus some of the other murders that we've encountered. I mean, I watched the video, and almost instantly, and I told y'all this. I said after watching the video, I almost wish somebody's gun would have went off mistakenly. I almost wish that it was
suffer.
I almost wish he did not have to suffer, because the beating that I saw, I told y'all, I said it just looked so personal. They handcuffed him, they picked him up, they took turns. It looked like a gang fight. It looked like a gang was up against some opposing gang member, and literally they were there imposing their will and wanted to hurt this person from a personal standpoint. That's just what it looked like for me. And I left that basically hurt to the core after I watched that.
Right.
I was hurt to the core because all of those officers look like me. All of those officers' parents probably look like my mom and my dad. And so it stung a little different. I'm gonna be honest. Yes, other killings should sting like this one stung, but for me to see people like me beat up on people that look like me, it just, for me, I just didn't believe that type of evil existed in within the system. I knew there was some evil within it, but that level of evil existed within the system from my people that look like me.
Is it evil or hate? Because they're not the same. They're not the same.
I mean, you're gonna have to give me
Can
that.
Can there be a combination of both?
I think it's.
Well, I mean,
listen,
I think that they're not exclusive. I just think that when we talk about people's motivation, when you think about what happened with Emmett Till, I brought him up earlier. To me, that was just pure evil. Who would take a child and sexualize a child and then seize that child from his own family's home, torture him by his genitals? I mean, come on, bro. And then you shoot him at the end of everything after you done put him in the water, salted his wound, all the stuff you could have possibly have thought to do to this child. That's not hate. That's evil.
That's evil. Yeah.
That's pure evil. What you said, what you saw, was personal, and it can only be executed if you hate yourself.
That's real.
Because I, like you, when I see the faces, they look like family members. They look like people we know, people we went to school with. I mean, people we are in our organizations with. Literally, in this sense.
Literally, in this sense, yeah, you're right. I mean,
and
we can't hide from that,
Well, yeah, I don't run.
Yeah.
Running will not save you, Brother Merriweather. Shout out to Brother Merriweather. But I think there should be a distinction, because one would have to hate himself to execute what they did, because it was no different than the same self-hate that we say these young men that are in criminal activities do. to other men that look like them. How's this any different? Just because they had a badge? Yeah, they got a fraternal order of police to kind of back them up, help cover it up, because you hear all types of rumors. I'm hearing they weren't even in their jurisdiction. I'm hearing all, types of things that lead you to believe that it was personal.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how you could hate someone that looks like you so bad, that has done nothing to you, if you don't have self-hate. If you felt like he was disrespectful, then I would challenge that your ego is more important to you than reality. And that was one of the things I had always thought about, when we talked about like the killings in the past and not killings in the past, but like the gang activity and stuff. And we had talked about what makes somebody want to join a gang, what makes somebody want to, commit the acts that that gang has to commit to sustain itself.
Mhm.
And self-hate had been a part of that. Because you got to realize that these men grew up. Some of them obviously went to college, graduated, became law enforcement officials. Like they're matriculated through life. They're going through life. What in the world would make you want to throw all that away if it wasn't self-hate? These officers, some of them have children.
Children, families.
Yeah, families. What makes you get up in the mirror, look in the mirror, and be okay with this if it's not self-hate? It can't be just self-evil. That doesn't exist like that. Now, the covering it up to me is a little bit more sinister.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that to me permeates above their pay grade. But
Miguel, I gotta ask you, man, because I think a lot of black men right now are trying to figure out how to deal. Like, I think that's my thing. It's like I've been kind of trying to figure out, how do I deal with this within myself? How do I reconcile this? How do I operate after seeing something like this? Like it's to me, that's the biggest question I've been asking myself. Like,
yeah.
how, because it's like you think about what policing has been, right? We know what our interactions with police have been in the historical reference. And then we talk about the fixes, because we sat on this show several times and talk about we need more black police officers, we need more body cameras, we need more we need more representation, we need these cops to be charged quickly, we need, we talk about the things that we need. And in this instance, I'll say it sucks because all of that at once kind of collapsed on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
All of those ideas. We had body cameras, we had representation, we had we had black officers, black DAs, black police chiefs. Yeah, chief, and you still see this.
Well, you gotta remember that at this time there may be two types of people from our community that joins law enforcement. That one may have a more altruistic and purposeful meaning of joining, and those are the ones that are in the communities and they do community policing. And then you have another subset of black people that join the police force just because they're trying to delineate themselves from the rest of us. And those are the ones that have self-hate. The ones that are trying to show the oppressor, or perceived oppressor, for those of us that don't subscribe to that, that I'm not like them Negroes over there. I'm one of the good ones. So that's what I mean by the two different types. Like, if I were to join the police force right now, what you saw on that video would never exist in my space. You know that because you know my character. You know what I mean? Like, and that means I joined the police to make connections in the community to help stop some of the ridiculousness that's happening. The multiple violent crimes, the shooting at grocery stores. That like, come on, bro, like the streets are not supposed to spill over like that. You know, I ain't that far removed to know that things are just out of control. And there used to be rules to these things. You know what I mean? And now it just seems like there's no rule, which to me defeats the purpose of being in the streets when being in the streets was about getting money. You can't get it because it's too hot. I'm digressing. But the point is that I understand the difference between people that look like us that join policing because they hate their people and themselves. And it's not something they wake up and say, I hate us. You know, Jason Whitlock does not believe he hates Black people. It's the cognitive dissonance. Like for me, like they will never articulate those words, but their actions say it all. And that's what I have to do to process through this. I have to accept that there are a group of people in our community that come from our community rather, that just are not down. You know what I mean? They're not really down. I mean, like
it's really it's ultimately the all skin folk and kinfolk.
It's
like
it's right.
It's the ultimate idea that like although I look like you, I want nothing to do with you.
Right.
You know, and it's I don't know, but it's just it's hurtful, bro. That's the best way I can put it. It's just hurtful. I have been hurt. Well, that's been my space, my mindset, bro. Like,
yeah, I'm hurt too. I mean, I had to say something, you know, because it's just been on my heart, and I couldn't really articulate it. I didn't want to say nothing in front of my kids per se, you know what I mean? Because it was a lot of it was anger initially, and then I started when we said we were going to record. I was like, "Come on now, get yourself together, man," you know, because you know, just trust, man. I was just in a different space before, but I'm still in that space, but I'm definitely managing it. Regulating it, yeah.
Sorry to cut your knowledge, brother. I just have to be frank since we're on this podcast, and I want to be. I'm not saying much in regards to this because I feel the same way when George Floyd died, and I know I've covered this before. To whereas I'm truly desensitized, and that hurts me more than anything. That I can't have the feelings of anger and just remorse and sadness because I've been conditioned to think that, man, this shit just a part of life. And it's scary because my wife and I, you know, we plan on having kids in the future. And I'm praying that I don't have the same feeling once I have kids. Like that will be one of the things of having a child can insert back into me to not feel, you know, the way that I feel right now. Like I'm more angry. My mind is so fucked up that I'm more angry about the news that I heard of allegedly why this man was killed versus him actually being killed by the cops. Because the killing of my people by cops is common to me, to whereas with situations like this, my mind says, damn, it was just that brother's day today. And that's not normal. Like, I'm not saying this to feel like, yo, I'm just Warren brushing shit off. Like,
no,
I understand that
Warren, you're not brushing it off.
Like, I'm jealous of people who are angry, who are pissed off, who are fighting, who go out here and march the streets, who just feel the way y'all feel right now. And it's just like,
Warren, I'm more
feel
afraid
it.
of how you feel, because what you're telling me is the emotional reaction that you have right now, or every time you've seen this scene, black man being killed by law enforcement in this instance, but in other instances too, it infuriates you so much that your brain shuts you down. It is in essence trying to maintain civility. That the rage inside of you is that great that your emotional center is not able to process it in a way that's healthy. So you just block it out.
Like,
That
and
is that is to me scarier than how I felt earlier today when I had to process through this.
because I can tell you when it started. I saw when Philando Castile, if I'm hope I'm saying this brother's name
Yeah,
right,
you saying that
Yeah,
right
you said all right.
when he got shot in the car
in front of
with
that baby.
his child.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think that was it for me. I remember breaking down crying in front of my girlfriend at the time, and I was just like, that man was in the car with his child,
Yep.
with his child, and ever since that day, ever since that video, when I stopped watching videos after that. After I heard uh, a brother polite talk about the mental effect these
Mm-hmm.
videos have on black men more than anybody else. But it was just when I hear stories, Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Sister Bland, my indie sister, like hearing those stories, I don't even process them because it just I can't. I just I
You
the
don't
only
know what
way
to do
I
with the
can compare
rage?
it is you're dating a woman and the woman's just been through so much to whereas the dude does some fuck shit to where she's like, I just don't even have the energy for it anymore.
Yeah, that's a dangerous place. And that's what I'm saying. Like, does it feel like you just don't know what to do with it anymore, or are
I
you
mean,
over?
what
Go ahead.
I'm a person to whereas I've always felt if you can't do anything about it, like what can I do? I mean, when I get pulled over by cops, mind you, I'll be frank. I've been pulled over, had situations with the cops. Not once have I felt like, my life, I was about to lose my life. Was I scared? Was I nervous because of everything that goes on with black men? Yes. And do I act extra meek and timid and docile in those situations? Yes, because I want to get home to my family. And I'm not saying, but that we should have to be that way. But I want to get home. Like I want to get home. And even if you are that way, it's not a possibility that you will make it home. So those fears and the things that are happening in this world is just like I can't it's 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 like a reality to me. Like it's a reality. Like, yo, it's a possibility. I may not come home.
I mean, you sound like a soldier.
I can do everything right, and it still may not work in my favor. This brother, and I'll wait till later to address the other issue I
Yeah.
have with the brother being killed. And maybe in my mind it's like you want to attack that issue because you don't want to deal with the cop aspect of it. You want to take it personal because from the cop aspect you like ain't shit we can
But
do.
but I mean, but to be real though, like the cop aspect of it is the power aspect, right?
Right.
Because let's just be real. Without that power that they had, this situation could have been a little bit more of a even situation. You get what I'm saying? It could have been more of a civilian versus the power of the agency behind whatever these personal,
Yeah.
issues.
He can pull him over.
Yeah, it's like
his cop gives him access
exactly.
to him.
Him being a cop gives them access to people and gives them a leg up. It gives them an opportunity to abuse, because that's what's happening. It's really just an abuse of authority. It's an abuse of my job. It's no different than somebody at the bank pulling up, something about somebody else that they have no business pulling up. Is literally them using it for them. It's kind of fucked up to even say it like this, but it's like a job perk. It's like a fucking job perk that they use in order to murder this man. The fact that they know that they can pull him over for no fucking reason. And let's just say they didn't kill him that night. Nothing would have happened to them. Let's just say they pulled him over just to fuck with him, just to be like, I can do this to you. Nothing would have happened to them. You get what I'm saying? The real reason we're even addressing this the way that we're addressing it is because somebody died. That's the reality. It sucks, but that's the level of. For me, that's what bothers me the most. Is the level of authority that they have. It's the fact that they can operate as a gang without getting RICO charges. It's the fact that they can beat you down and they'll get second-degree murder, and you did not see them being tried as a criminal gang in the streets of Memphis. It's the fact that we see when we do something, they trump the charges up. You get what I'm saying? And when they do something, they trumping the charges down. In my opinion, just my opinion, once the facts come out, this is a premeditated event.
Oh, for sure.
You get what I'm saying? It's a premeditated event. It is the cops thought about it before they did it, and it was premeditated. They were ready.
Based on what Mikhail said, if they caught this man right by his crib, they knew where he was going to be.
Yeah.
So they staked this out.
And that's the biggest issue for me, dog. It's like literally the fact that they were able to use their agency in order to come at this dude, man. And it was
a setup.
It's a setup.
I mean, he's dead, so we can use the term. This was a hit. This was a legit hit.
And that's the point. Like you hear how you're saying it's a hit. That's the type of terminology we need to be using. You get what I'm saying? That's the type of that's how we should feel about this. Like Phil said, everything about it feels intentional. Every piece of it is clearly was the intent of the officer. It seems as if that was what they woke up to do that day. And it's just unfortunate that we get left to deal with, his family gets left to deal with the feelings. We get left to deal with the fact that we got to think about, because when you get pulled over by a black cop, you usually feel like you're okay. You get what I'm saying? I'm just saying in general, like there's this idea that representation matters. There's this idea that diversity is our superpower. It's a strength that we have here in the United States. There's this idea that white supremacy has a color. There's an idea that's the way people think, that white supremacy actually has a color. But in actuality and in reality, what sucks is that our society has not realized that white supremacy infiltrates race. It infiltrates who we are. It infiltrates our racial boundaries, and can allow these cops to decide that they're going to harm us and be able to plan it using their job. And if they didn't kill the man, they would have been able to cover it up using their job.
And the thing I hate about this is because my wife and I, we get in arguments about the cop sometimes. And I'm not a person that says defund the police. I'm not a person that thinks all cops are bad. Like, I honestly, in my heart, feel that cops are needed because I know what people are capable of if there's no fear of repercussions for their actions. So it puts me at a point to where it's like, damn, do I just have to accept the fact that we gonna deal with some of them for the overall protection of certain neighborhoods, or do we get to a point to where, I mean, if we had, Black Panther Party type within different neighborhoods, I would be all for that, us protecting our own in that way, in that facet, if we had the structure
but what you're
and
saying
facilities to do so.
What you're saying is we don't have that. So you're
don't.
Okay with the policing structure, but it's like, but as it stands right now, are you okay with how it is right now?
No, I think it should be better. I think it, and I know it's capable of being much better.
And for me, it's like I'm just thinking about all of the reform, and I can't wait to have our officer on the show, man. I can't wait because I think this is just something we have to tackle within our community, within discussing with the officers. But all of these reforms have happened. How
have they?
I mean, there weren't body cameras. We have them now.
Some of them don't turn them on.
But
there's no punishment for that.
I mean, no. I mean, depends on where you're, who you're dealing with, which police department, that kind of thing.
Right. It's nuanced.
Yeah, it's nuanced. Exactly. It's not. It just depends on where we're talking about. But at the same time, all of these reforms have apparently occurred, and it's just like, but these things are still they're still happening. They're still happening. And so what needs to change?
Well, number one, I mean, it's really more of a, I mean, it's cool to go down this path, but so I'll say this, that the purpose of policing, or the purpose of police, is a reactionary force, is it not? Right.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're responding to code violations that are voted on by elected officials and whoever's paying for them, because they get a lot of lobby money. That's where it needs to start. Like, at this point, police should be we need to change what they're doing in terms of enforcement. Like, obviously, if there's a serious need and you got a hostage situation, you obviously want to have a especially, well-trained team of people come into play, correct? So that would be the case, but how often are SWAT teams needed? So I think the patrol, because it seems like most of these incidents don't come from detectives. It comes from patrolmen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so to me, I think that's where it can be kind of mitigated. Like, at some juncture, you could have a patrol unit, since they're only there to protect and serve property owners, they could be stationed at property owner spaces. In terms of community policing, what I came back in on was, how we can create not a military force, a police force from our own community, and let that be the modus operandi. because crime is not going anywhere as long as there's poverty. Nobody wants to get rid of poverty because legitimate businesses make so much money on the black market.
Yes, they do.
They make the profits are way higher to sell things that, you know, people look at it this way. You see how people shoplift and now they have the no chase policy, right?
Yeah.
We assume, and maybe this could be conspiracy theory or not, but we assume that the people that have these shopping carts are not affiliated with that location.
Mm.
Whenever there's a theft, the only people that lose out are the insurance companies. But they make hand over foot in premiums anyway.
Yeah, their premiums are ridiculous.
So the Targets, the Walmarts, they getting that back. Whatever was stolen was getting back. But and I've been tied and close enough to a legitimate business to know that people sell stuff out the back of the house on the streets with a premium. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we have to stop this charade. Like police are out there stopping crime. That's just not it. That's just not true.
It's not the truth. Yeah.
It's not the truth. So and since we have to have a black market economy,
and to be fair, in neighborhoods that have less crime, there's also a lot less police presence. Let's just be real. Where you see the highest police presence is usually where you see the most crime statistically. So it's
and some of that is trumped up charges, by the way, because we forgot the prison. Well, not forgot, but there is a prison industrial complex. There is a quota system. We need to get rid of the quota system, and we need to remove prisons away from private industry. It needs to go back to where it's state funded.
If we get rid of the quota systems, how do people make as much money as they've been making off of black bodies?
Hold
on. Let's not go too deep down this rabbit hole. Let's go back to the individuals, okay? And what I'm asking is this.
Okay.
What is it with allowing these psychopaths to stay in police forces? What is it allowing these psychopaths to stay in police force? Because I feel as if it's very, very important, because first of all, policing is a difficult job, right? That's number one. Number two, why are they not subject to mental health screenings? Why are we not dealing with who's dealing with us? Because you see these things and you got to say, all right, well, maybe not all of them, but some of them got an issue.
Well, I'll say this. I don't make the bad apples conversation because, unless they got the same tree at the root, how are they all coming out bad apples all across the country? Like, and I ain't talking about just a brown spot bad apple. I'm talking about worms. I'm talking about just the cover up king. To me, when you cover up a crime, that's evil to me. And that's what seems to always seem to happen. You mentioned Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor's, like the cover up, and it's the system. So to me, it's not just the individual; it's a collection of individuals that have a perception of society that they are better than society. Maybe because I wear this badge, and I give an oath, and I try to be a person of the law, blah blah. I don't know what is in their mind. I just see the bravado on replies and videos that really, to me, is interesting, because when you say policing is a hard job, I don't know how hard it is compared to what, a thoracic surgeon, or you mean like, because to me, anybody that walks honorably would not find it to be difficult to manage the role of a police officer if they're genuinely doing it. Now, if you're going around there grabbing people up, yeah, that's a hard ass day. we play football, that's hard. But if you out there doing paperwork and you're out there, let me back up and say this, because I do want to go back to police reform for a second, Sam,
Okay.
because that's what I'm getting at. If you took away the ministerial duties or the stop and frisk type laws, if you're going to pull somebody over, let it be for a real infraction, not because they're 5 miles, 6 miles per hour, just so you can test the water to see maybe if they're carrying, maybe if they got something. Let me see it. All right, why are you sweating, sir? Why are you sweating during this stop? Is something going on? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If there's been no crime, why is there an investigation? Get that stuff out of there. Because to me, I haven't seen data that supports that it does anything except increase the number of black bodies in prisons, to Warren's point. If we want real reform, we have to take this nickel and dime policing out of the situation. Profit should not be drawn from stopping crime. Policing should not be a profit engine. So with that being said, because we know it is a profit engine, because we know, I get my rocks off by terrorizing people, you have those people drawn to that type of work.
Yeah.
And that's what geographically is happening. I don't think all police are sociopaths, but I definitely have run into some. And being a sociopath doesn't know a gender or race. It doesn't know any of that. It just knows that I feel a certain type of way, and being a cop makes me feel superior and not afraid, until they end up shooting somebody because they were afraid for their lives. 17 times. I'm digressing.
No. I've run out of words, man, to be honest with you. No, I just got to be real. Like, yeah. I've run out of words, and today I actually found a video with one of my friends who was also the Bruz. He posted, and I felt like it says how I feel.
Okay.
And so I wanted to share with y'all, and share it with the people that are watching. In my opinion, although it's difficult, I feel as if we need to try to find positive messages during these times. Listen to my boy.
The ones you love. Or like I look at the Tyre Nichols video and it's like, I'm him. But you're also the police officers. Like, it's different for me. You can't pretend like when the ones you love kill the ones you love. I can't pretend like I don't look at those officers and see myself. Like, we don't go to the same barber. Like, their moms don't look like my mom. Now, all of a sudden, they do this, and it's not me anymore. Right? Like, I'm not that person, too. It's different now. Before, when they're not like black men, when it's not you, like, my body goes straight to anger first. But it's like my body skipped that and went straight to pain. It's like, what do you do with the pain? So many times, the pain is harder. The pain is harder to deal with. The anger, you can go out and protest, but that pain. And Julius Caesar said, it is easier to find men who will volunteer to die than to endure pain with patience. And I think that's what this is. With that protest, you'll be on those front lines, you'll be out there, you're like, today would be a good day to die. Just because I'm so angry, I can do something with it. But pain. And I think the only thing that I could do to find light is say, Martin Luther King Jr. said, those who love peace must learn to plan as strategically as those who love war. And his mother said, when Tyre was calling out for his mother said, Tyre's had an assignment from God, because it's different when it's a loving man. A man whose smile brings on your smile, and may his soul live forever. And may we be willing to endure pain with patience. To say, this won't be done in a week, this won't be done in a month, it won't be done in a year, and I'm willing to take the time to not forget a name and to do something with the pain. May we do something with it. May Tyre's assignment be transferred to us.
And I think that's all I can think is to say, we have to do something. Something needs to be done. And we have to start thinking about ways to make this different, man. Because this feeling that I feel in the bottom of my stomach right now, Brett, I don't know how much longer we can go feeling like this as a society. That's just me. That's my final words, man. I don't have much else.
I'll leave it at from me. First, prayers to his loved ones, condolences to his mom. Having to bury a child in any facet is unthinkable, but in that way, I couldn't imagine what she's feeling. I don't know if his father is still alive, so I apologize if I don't acknowledge him if he is.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah. But and going back to what I previously stated is part of the reason why I don't watch the videos, why I try to be absent of things like this is because that pain that brother talked about and not knowing what to do with that pain. Like, you kill my brother, I'm killing somebody in your family. And I know that's not the right way to handle things. But, I've talked to God about certain things to where it's like, look, I know what I'm willing to die for. I know what I'm willing to rot in prison for. But in a situation like this, when I heard somebody speak about the reason why we have cops and have, prison is to stop that cycle of if somebody touched Sam and I go after the person that touched Sam, the person that I touched now comes after me, and that cycle goes over and over again. That's the reason why you have law enforcement, to stop that cycle from everybody being wiped out. But when you have those people inside that's supposed to stop that cycle, adding to it, you just feel helpless. You just feel helpless. And I know I can't even fake and say that shit. Like, I wanted to say I know things will get better, but I don't. Like, my mind is so far gone that I still say a black man get killed by a cop tomorrow, and I'll be like, damn, it was just his day. And go on about mine, not even angry, sad, or upset. But, that's my cross to bear and my cross to go forward with. I pray that nobody else out there feels the way I feel. And
that prayer's not gonna be answered because I feel it.
Hey, I want better for us. I love y'all. I ain't got no encouraging words on this one. I'm sorry. I mean, I like to leave with that bag, but
nah,
it just ain't in me today.
It really is a call to action in terms of a reflection of, what are we really doing here? And what I mean by here, I mean inside the borders of these United States. I mean, Tyre's death is in the midst of a lot of attacks against our community, our very existence in this country. He's just one of many lives impacted by the systems that are around us. So, I mean, you're not alone, bro. It's just, what are we courageous enough to do? I've had friends expatriate their entire families in the last 3 years.
I'm sorry, I have to ask, what does that mean?
They packed their shit up
and
got the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
They left the United States and relocated to countries that had people that definitely were not set up. Those countries have problems too. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, but not these.
But racism ain't the forefront. It's not really a part of the fabric. So, but you know, I don't know how to leave off of this with a positive note outside of the fact that the people that have come to fight this battle for our community are in the front lines of this one. And if nothing else, the deterrent, it may be a deterrent for others that would, you know, be a part of our demise. So,
Man, with that being said, man, I appreciate y'all for hopping on and having this conversation, man. It's hard to talk about things like this. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to get on. And
yeah, I mean, if you don't have a plan, it's scary.
It is. It is. No, that's so real, bro. And that's the thing. Like, it's really rough because we've had this conversation time and time again. Ahmaud Arbery, you know, Breonna Taylor. We've had these conversations. Tamir Rice, and it's just difficult. It's a difficult situation, and we're all gonna handle it differently. You know, eventually the rubber got to hit the road with how we decide we want to deal with what we're dealing with it within this country. And so, I would like to acknowledge everyone who got on and watched us. We really appreciate y'all. We really appreciate all of our supporters. For more conversations like these, please share our page, like, subscribe. You know, we plan on dropping more and more episodes as things go on. We really appreciate and pray for all of us, man. We're in a rough spot right now, and so, you know, I just wish that, you know, that we all take this pain that we feeling and do something positive with it.
I hope we can just learn to love on each other right now, because that really is the only thing that kind of heals pain. Is just camaraderie and fellowship. And I mean, you don't have to think about the enemy. You know, think about the loves that you have in your life, your family, your friends, the people that actually give a damn about you, and make sure that y'all are close together in this. And
I love y'all brothers, man.
We'll
man,
figure it
love
out.
you too, man. For more conversations like these, man, it's You Good Bro Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, You Good Bro Pod on Twitter. My name is Sam Dupe, and I am good.
Hey, I'm Tel McKell, and I am good.
I'm 1P, and I'm good.
And just like that, we gone.
Drew.